So hey, how are you doing? I hope you guys are doing great. I have a question today. How do you keep track of time? How do you keep track of time? Do you have a clock? Do you wear a watch? yeah, we wear watches. We have small clocks and big clocks, grandfather clocks and tabletop clocks, and you might even have a clock by your bed, and you might wear a couple watches like me each day. You may have all of these things in your house, and you may have a clock, but do you have a clock? Do you have one with a mouse? I have one with a mouse, and it reminds me of the rhyme, Hickory, Dickory, Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck one, boop, boop, boop. The mouse ran down, Hickory, Dickory, Dock. Now, Hickory, Dickory, Dock is that simple little English rhyme, as it says, about a mouse and a clock. Now you remember that some of these rhymes were written with little hidden messages at times. Some historians think that Hickory Dickory Dock might refer or be referring to one of Britain's least known about rulers who made a very brief appearance on the political scene in the 17th century, and then he was gone. He came and he went, just like this mouse. So there was a mouse in the house on the clock in Hickory Dickory Dock. Now, I can just imagine what some of you would do if you saw a mouse run up the clock. There's a whole lot of screaming going on, don't you think? Well, aside from the rhyme about Hickory Dickory Dock, let's talk about time. You know, we probably all look at our watches or our clocks numerous times each day. Maybe we ought to start counting how many times we glance at our watch or the clock on the wall, or even our phone to see what time it is. How many times do you look at your watch or clock each day? How many times do you check the time? Well, it's sort of important to us, isn't it? We track our time. Our lives are ordered by time. We would be lost not knowing what time it is. We count the minutes, the hours, the days, and the years. And the Bible references that we all live within a time frame. Psalm 90 verse 12, the psalmist says, teach us how to realize how short our lives are. And then our hearts will become wise. When we acknowledge how important time is to us, it helps us to learn how to live, I think. There's this passage from Ecclesiastes, which is a book in the Old Testament. And in chapter 3, there's some verses that you might have heard before. A lot of people repeat these verses. It's used in different contexts. There's even a song that was written about this passage of Scripture. There is a time for everything. There's a time for everything that is done on earth. There is a time to be born, and there's a time to die. There is a time to plant, and there's a time to pull up what is planted. There is a time to kill, and there's a time to heal. There is a time to tear down, and there's a time to laugh. There is a time to be sad, and there's a time to dance. There is a time to scatter stones, and there's a time to gather them. There is a time to embrace someone, and there's a time not to embrace. There is a time to search, and there's a time to stop searching. There is a time to keep, and there's a time to throw away. There is a time to tear, and there is a time to mend. There is a time to be silent, and there's a time to speak. There is a time to love, and there's a time to hate. There is a time for war, and there's a time for peace. That's a long list of different types of times, isn't it? You know, sometimes the challenge is to know when is the right time to do something. So we do look for God's help for our days, don't we? Yeah. Ephesians 5:16 says, make the most of every opportunity. You know, we want to see God in every one of our time frames, our minutes, our hours, our days, and our years. And as we see God in every one of these time frames, we realize how good life can be, how precious life is. Ecclesiastes 3:11 says, he has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also given a people a sense of who he is. So you know what? Trust God. He has gifted each one of us with precious and valuable time. And in our time, we can see God. Hopefully not mice or a mouse running up and down the clock, but rather we want to see God in our days, in our minutes, in our hours, and in our years. So today, as you spend time on earth with your friends, with each other, with your family, or wherever you're spending your time, spend some time with God. And remember that He is in each of our days and all of our time. Have a day filled with joy and a day filled with peace.